Hello and welcome to my weekly roundup. On the Small Business Big Network podcast this week, you can hear an interview with Rob Kearsey, who's a social media marketing expert, who I met through networking, of course. Also this week, I recorded a couple of future episodes with Sarah Clayton-Jones, who runs a business community that's based on books called Read to Lead, and Robbie Samuels, who is a virtual event designer and networking expert. You'll have to listen to that one to find out why it's better to be a croissant rather than a bagel when you're networking. All this week, Guy Michaels from Voiceover Kickstart has been running a Supercharged week for his members. These are always great opportunities to focus on business and training, and this week I really enjoyed two sessions in particular. One was with Rick Loynes, who produces radio adverts for Bauer. Rick provided a number of advert scripts and a number of people were asked to read them. It's always interesting to hear how other people approach a script because everyone's different. And of course, it was great to hear Rick's feedback and direction. The other session I loved was with Neil Lanza and Julian Samal from Riot Games. They brought along some video game scripts and I was one of the people who got to read for them. Video games is not an area I've worked in, even though I've been in the voiceover industry for nearly 10 years, but I found it to be great fun. Perhaps it's an area to pursue further. On Wednesday morning, I had a coaching session with Drury Jenkins as part of the WLA Coachathon. Drury gave his time for free and I gave a donation which will be used to give a microloan to a woman in sub-Saharan Africa to enable her to start a business. It was a great session and I came away with a number of action points to implement in my business. On Wednesday evening, I joined Bev Thorogood for a webinar about nutrition. Bev is an expert on the menopause and talked about how diet is really important for our well-being. I was very pleased that she doesn't advocate any particular diets or cutting anything out, just good quality food and chocolate in moderation. Yesterday, I was invited to a Katina online networking event by Sally Hurst. There were a few familiar faces there and several people that I hadn't met before too. During the meeting, Sally interviewed Chris Allbones from Drumbeat Marketing about his career path and what we should all be looking for in a website designer. Generally one where you have access to the website so you don't have to pay the people every time you want a change making. Last night I went to see Alice in Wonderland at the Joseph Wright Hall in Barton. This was a show I was supposed to be in back in March 2020. We all know why it didn't go ahead. Unfortunately, when the new dates were announced, I wasn't able to be in the show as my son has a weekend of leave from the army starting today, so I couldn't really spend my weekend at the theatre. It was a lovely show. Congratulations to all the cast, especially director Paul Tate and Rachel Hobson, who stepped into my role as the Dormouse. That's all for this week. Join me again next Friday for another Roundup.